Alright folks, before we get into today's theory, hot take incoming, I need to address something. Lately, every time I microwave a burrito, I hear voices whispering, "You could do better in life." Which, honestly, rude. I already know that. You don't have to haunt my kitchen appliances just to rub it in. Anyway, let's talk about something that actually matters. How Apocalypse Now is 100%, no doubt in my mind, a prequel to Star Wars. Yeah, I know. You're thinking, that's insane. But just wait. I've got the receipts. 1. George Lucas was going to direct Apocalypse Now, then changed his mind and made Star Wars instead. True story. Lucas was supposed to direct Apocalypse Now. The man wanted to do it. The plan was to make this gritty, documentary-style Vietnam movie about the horrors of war. Then, at the last second, he noped out and was like, you know what? What if I just made Space Vietnam instead? And boom, we got Star Wars. Seriously, think about it. The Rebel Alliance, Space Viet Cong. The Galactic Empire, Space US Military-Industrial Complex. The Death Star, a giant metaphor for American imperialism, except instead of napalm, it just yeets planets out of existence. Lucas didn't abandon Apocalypse Now, he just rebranded it. 2. Harrison Ford is in both movies. Playing the same guy? Let's talk about the real smuggler here. Harrison Ford. In Apocalypse Now, Ford plays a guy named Colonel Lucas. Lucas. You hearing this? And what does Colonel Lucas do? He works at a desk, gives out orders, and generally avoids getting his hands dirty. Meanwhile, Han Solo? Same dude, different setting. Han starts off as a guy who doesn't want to get involved in the war. He's just in it for the money, until he isn't. Now tell me that doesn't sound like Colonel Lucas, who probably got so sick of war that he faked his own death, got off-world, and reinvented himself as a space pirate. I mean, Han Solo does know a lot about military tactics for a guy who supposedly just smuggles stuff. Just saying. 3. The Ewok battle was originally written for Apocalypse Now. You know that scene in Return of the Jedi, where the Ewoks take down the Empire with sticks, slingshots, and Home Alone-style tree traps? That was originally supposed to be in Apocalypse Now. Lucas had this whole idea for a sequence where the Viet Cong, using nothing but jungle traps and homemade weapons, would take out an elite US military unit. That scene never made it into Apocalypse Now, but suddenly it shows up in Star Wars? And the Ewoks? They're literally tiny jungle guerrilla fighters. They even wear little hoods like Vietnamese farmers. Tell me the Empire getting curb-stomped by teddy bears isn't just Lucas making a very specific point about how technology doesn't guarantee victory. 4. Willard versus Kurtz is just Luke versus Vader, but in the jungle. Apocalypse Now is literally a story about a young soldier sent to eliminate a rogue commander who's gone way off the deep end. Sound familiar? Captain Willard equals Luke Skywalker. Colonel Kurtz equals Darth Vader. Willard has to kill Kurtz, but deep down, he kind of respects him. Same way Luke doesn't really want to kill Vader. He wants to save him. Both stories are about facing the darkness, realizing you're not that different from your enemy, and then making a choice about who you want to be. Like, come on, at this point, the connections are too obvious. 5. The Force is just what happens when you take too much acid in the jungle. Apocalypse Now is full of hallucinatory, reality-breaking moments. The deeper they go into the jungle, the weirder things get. Almost like the jungle itself is alive, guiding people toward their fate. That sounds an awful lot like the Force. What if the jungle is basically an early version of the Force? Think about it. The jungle warps people's minds. The dark side warps people's minds. Kurtz has become some kind of godlike figure. The Emperor. Willard has to let go of his fear and strike Kurtz down. Luke has to let go of his fear to defeat Vader. Lucas took that eerie, mystical energy from the jungle and turned it into a religion that binds the galaxy together. 6. The Empire is just a more advanced version of the US military in Apocalypse Now. Look at the way the US military is portrayed in Apocalypse Now. They roll in with overwhelming firepower. They don't understand the enemy or the terrain. They assume superior tech equals guaranteed victory. Now look at the Empire. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. The Death Star is basically the ultimate expression of this. We have the biggest, most advanced weapon ever. No way we can lose. Then some farm boy in a junky spaceship blows it up with a single well-placed shot. The rebels are the Viet Cong. The Empire is the US military. Lucas just took the metaphor to space so he wouldn't have to argue with boomers at Thanksgiving. Final thoughts. Is this a crazy theory? Yes. But is it also 100% true? Also yes. Look, I know this sounds nuts, but the evidence is right there. Lucas didn't abandon Apocalypse Now, he just swapped out helicopters for X-Wings and rice paddies for desert planets. He made his Vietnam War movie. He just didn't tell anyone. So next time you watch Apocalypse Now, just imagine that somewhere off in the stars, a scruffy-looking smuggler named Han Solo is sitting in a cantina, drinking away the memories of his time in the jungle. Alright folks, that's the theory. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, or else the voices in my microwave will start whispering to you about your life choices. And trust me, you don't want that. See you next time.